So you want to get a Maine Coon but don't know what to expect. In this video, I'm going to go over all the stuff you need to know about owning these majestic creatures. My name is Jana and I'm a Maine Coon breeder in California and I have 4 Maine Coons. I'm still fairly new to breeding, but I have learned a lot about the breed in the few years I've owned these cats. In my opinion, Maine Coons are not only a specialty cat when it comes to their looks, but also in the care that they need. I've owned many cats throughout my life, most of them being strays and shelter cats, and I can say that the Maine Coon is a lot different than just your average cat. I think it's important for people to understand these things before considering adding one to your family. From my experience, they aren't as independent as your average cat. All my mixed cats growing up were very independent. They didn't require much attention, and they can be left alone for the day and wouldn't miss me at all. But my Maine Coons are a different story. There's a reason why they are called the most dog-like cat breed, and one of those reasons is their clinginess and need for human attention and interaction. If you're looking for an easygoing pet that you can leave alone for a weekend getaway with a big bowl of food and water out, then the Maine Coon is probably not right for you. The max amount of time I like to leave my cats alone is for 8 hours, and if I do ever leave them alone for that long, I come home to very hungry and desperate cats wanting my attention. And that's with me leaving dry food out at all times, but they still beg for wet or raw food when I get home. Which leads me to my next point, their appetite. Maine Coons eat a lot, and it makes sense considering their size, but one thing to also keep in mind is that they don't stop growing until they are 4 to 5 years old. So they are constantly hungry for those first couple years of life. When I got my first Maine Coon, I really underestimated this. I followed the stereotypical feeding advice for cats and kittens, feeding them wet food only twice a day, and even with dry food always being out, I quickly found that that wasn't enough for her. I now have learned that free-feeding growing Maine Coons is the best way to go, and from my experience, you don't have to worry about them becoming overweight in those first couple years. When they are hungry, they are pretty vocal about it. They are a vocal cat breed in general, and they communicate a lot with thrills and chirps, especially when they are greeting me or the other cats. One surprising thing about them is that their meows and vocals are so soft and gentle. I love that about them because it doesn't match their appearance at all. The next thing you should know is that they need equipment that's big enough to accommodate their large size. I've found that you can get away with regular cat stuff for up to their first year, but once they're getting older, you do have to keep that in mind. Also, females tend to be smaller. Their average weight is about 10 to 15 pounds, and males can be between 15 to 25 pounds, so you're more likely to get away with using average-sized cat things with the female. My next point, as I've already touched up on earlier, is they are clingy and get lonely easily. For me, personally, I love that about them because I'm all about having a clingy and cuddly cat, but I do understand that for some people and lifestyles, that might not be a positive thing. They despise having the door closed on them, and mine always want to be around our family in the living room. They follow me from room to room. Where I am, they are there too. If they don't see me, they will come looking for me, which is another way that they are dog-like. When we have guests over, they don't go and hide. Instead, they are very curious about it, and they love to hang out with my guests as well. They will come over to what is strangers for them, for pets and attention, and they always steal the show when people do come over. One thing you want to prepare for is how fast they grow and change in those first couple months. When you bring your Maine Coon kitten home around 12 to 15 weeks, they will most likely already be fairly big for a kitten, but they will start changing on the weekly. With the Maine Coon, you don't really have that kitten size for very long, but keep in mind that they act like kittens for a very long time. My oldest cat is 15 months and is still very kitten-like. With that being said, not all Maine Coons get to be huge. Some don't get much larger than a regular big cat. Like I stated earlier, females stay smaller than males. So if you're looking to get a bigger cat, then you may want to consider getting a male. There are two types of looks when it comes to the Maine Coon. There's the American Maine Coon, which has softer, more rounded features, and the European Maine Coon, which usually looks more rugged and fierce. All of my cats are European because I personally prefer that look and decided to go ahead and breed that look over the American look. I just love a fierce looking cat, but with the super sweet personality that the Maine Coon has. And I think it's the perfect combo. And my last point is that they don't sleep very much. I don't know if it's maybe just my cats, and somehow I always end up with cats that don't sleep much. But I remember being surprised when I got my first Maine Coon because I felt like she hardly ever slept. At one point, I was even concerned that she wasn't getting enough sleep because all of my previous cats would sleep pretty much all day. All of my cats also wake me up throughout the night. Some are more obnoxious about it than others. Some purposely wake me up, but some also just come to sit on my chest while I'm sleeping, and their loud purring is what wakes me up. But all the Maine Coons I've had would be waking me up at night. Sometimes I do get jealous of cat owners whose cats sleep with them throughout the night, but my cats are just not like that. I used to let them roam the house and just deal with their night wakings, but I recently started putting all my cats in their own separate rooms at night so that I can get some uninterrupted sleep. Again, maybe it's just my cats, so let me know if you have a Maine Coon and if you experience the same thing with your cats. So that's all for this video. I hope it can help you in making a decision if a Maine Coon is right for you. If it is, you won't regret owning this magnificent breed and experiencing all the things that come along with it. We will be having kittens on the ground in just a few short months, and I will be documenting that whole process. So if you want to follow along, then subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!